I sit at my kitchen table, steam rising from my coffee cup like ghosts of better mornings. The silence between Isabel and me has weight now, not the comfortable quiet of early marriage, but something heavier. Something that presses against my chest when I wake up beside her. She's already dressed for work, her blonde hair pulled back in that severe bun that makes her look older than 34. Professional, untouchable. The woman who used to laugh at my terrible jokes about server crashes now scrolls through her phone while eating yogurt, her expression flat as code. Henrik thinks the Anderson case could go either way, she says without looking up. He's seen judges swing on less evidence. Henrik, again. I take a sip of coffee, watching her face for something I can't name. She gets this look when she mentions him, a slight brightening, like someone just turned up the contrast on her features. The same look she used to get when she talked about us. You trust his judgment? I ask. She glances up, and for a moment I see irritation flicker across her face. He's been doing this longer than I have, Daniel. He knows the system. The system. Everything with Isabel is about systems now. Legal systems, social systems. The system that apparently ranks a software engineer below a lawyer with a family name that opens doors. I understand systems. I build them for a living. But this one, the one that's quietly erasing me from my own marriage, operates on logic I can't debug. I'm sure he does, I say. She stands, smoothing her skirt. I'll be late tonight. Henrik wants to review the depositions again. I nod, watching her gather her things. The way she says his name, like it tastes better than mine, like she's savoring it. How late? I ask. I don't know. However long it takes. She pauses at the door, and I think she might say something else, something that acknowledges the distance growing between us like ice on a lake. Instead, she just leaves. The house feels different after she's gone, bigger, emptier, but also cleaner somehow, free of the tension that follows her around like expensive perfume. I finish my coffee and open my laptop. The screen reflects my face back at me. Ordinary features, steel pool eyes that Isabel once said reminded her of calm water. Now I wonder if she meant stagnant water. Dead water. The email notification pings, and I see her name in my inbox. A forwarded message from Henrik about some case precedent. I notice the timestamp sent at 11:47 p.m. last night, after she'd already been in bed for an hour. My finger hovers over the trackpad. I could click it, read the chain of messages, see what they're really discussing when they think I'm not paying attention. But I don't. Not yet. Instead, I close the laptop and get ready for work. As I'm locking the door, I notice Mrs. Erickson from next door watching me from her window. She gives me a sympathetic smile, the kind reserved for men whose wives have stopped pretending to love them. At work, I pull up a new folder on my secure drive. I label it System Maintenance and begin typing. Dates, times, behaviors, the gradual erosion of a marriage cataloged with the same precision I use to track malware. 15:30. Isabel mentions Henrik's opinion on restaurant choice, 1945. Phone call lasting 23 minutes. Claim to be work, 22:15. Shower before bed, unusual for Tuesday. The data doesn't lie. It never does. And as I type, I realize I'm not building a case for confrontation. I'm building a case for something else entirely. Something that will require patience, precision, and perfect timing. The message arrives on a Tuesday morning, buried in my work email like a needle in a haystack. The sender is someone I barely know. Astrid from Isabel's firm, a paralegal who handles document prep and keeps her mouth shut about office politics. Except today. Daniel, I think you should know. There's something planned for this Friday. Hotel Avalon, lunch hour. I'm sorry? I stare at the screen for a full minute, waiting for anger to hit. When it doesn't, I realize I've been expecting this. The data points were all there. I just needed someone to connect the final dots. I delete the email and open my system maintenance folder. It's grown significantly over the past few weeks. GPS logs from the car's navigation system showing trips to neighborhoods Isabel never mentioned, call records from our phone bill, cross-referenced with Henrik's number, chat logs from her laptop, synchronized to our shared cloud storage, a feature she'd forgotten about from when we first moved in together. The picture is clear now, not sloppy, not dramatic, just predictable. Isabel has been methodical about her betrayal, the way she's methodical about everything. But she made one crucial error. She underestimated the man she was betraying. I pull up the Hotel Avalon's website. Boutique property, discreet location, rooms that rent by the hour if you know how to ask. I click through to the booking system and reserve room 314 for Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. Then I book room 315 under a different name. The private investigator's office is in a converted warehouse in Majorna, the kind of place that exists in the spaces between legitimate businesses. Magnus Lindberg doesn't look like what I expected. More accountant than detective, with wire-rimmed glasses and a handshake that feels like signing a contract. I need surveillance, I tell him. Professional documentation. He nods, sliding a tablet across the desk. Fill this out. Timeline, subjects, what you're looking for. I write. Subject 1, Isabel Nystrom. Subject 2, Henrik Lofgren. Timeline, ongoing. Objective, comprehensive documentation of relationship. How comprehensive? He asks, reading over my shoulder. Everything. Times, locations, physical contact, patterns of behavior. I want a complete profile. He quotes me a price that would have made me wince 6 months ago. Now it seems reasonable. A small investment in clarity. Question, he says. What's the end game here? Court proceedings? Custody battle? I considered this. Closure? He seems to understand. The hardest kind. I'll have preliminary results by Thursday. Thursday arrives with rain that turns Gothenburg's streets into mirrors. Magnus's report is thorough. 67 pages of timestamps, photographs, and behavioral analysis. I read it in my car outside the office, watching the data transform my suspicions into certainties. They meet every Tuesday and Friday. Always the same coffee shop first, then walking to wherever they're going next. The photos show them not as passionate lovers, but as people playing at passion. Isabel's smile looks practiced. Henrik's touches seem calculated. Even their betrayal is performed with the kind of professional competence that makes me almost respect them. Almost. I spend Thursday evening preparing. Not emotionally. I passed through that stage weeks ago. Logistically. I print copies of every document, every photo, every piece of evidence. I prepare a folder labeled Dissolution of Marriage and place it in my briefcase. I call my attorney and schedule a Monday appointment. Then I sit in my kitchen and eat dinner alone, the same way I've been eating dinner for months. The difference is, after Friday, I won't be pretending this is temporary. The rain starts before dawn, turning the Friday sky the color of gunmetal. I dress carefully, not formally, but with the kind of attention to detail that makes every choice deliberate. Gray slacks, white shirt, navy jacket. The uniform of a man who knows exactly what he's doing. Hotel Avalon sits in the heart of Gothenburg like a secret waiting to be told. Glass and steel architecture that promises discretion, the kind of place where the staff are paid to forget faces. I park across the street and watch the entrance, my phone displaying the time, 12:47 p.m. The lobby is all warm wood and low lighting, designed to make people feel invisible. I approach the desk with the confidence of someone who belongs here. Room 314, I tell the clerk. Reservation under Peterson. She hands me a key card without looking up. 14th floor. Elevators are to your right. Room 314 is identical to 315, separated by a thin wall and a universe of intention. I settle into the chair by the window and wait. The briefcase sits on the small table beside me, containing everything I've compiled over the past month. Not just evidence, documentation. A complete record of how thoroughly I've been replaced. At 1:12 p.m., I hear the elevator chime. Voices in the hallway, too low to make out words but familiar in their cadence. I move to the door and watch through the peephole as Isabel and Henrik approach room 315. She's wearing the red dress I bought her for her birthday last year, the one she claimed was too bold for her, too attention-seeking. Henrik's hand rests on her lower back, with the casual ownership of a man who believes he's won something. They disappear into their room and I begin counting. 15 minutes. Long enough for them to feel safe, settled, untouchable. Long enough for clothing to be removed, for guard to be completely dropped. I take out my phone and open the app I installed last week, a simple program that copies keycard access codes. Hotel security is surprisingly predictable when you understand how RFID locks work. A brief scan of the maid's card while she was distracted, a few lines of code, and now I have access to every room on the floor. I slide the copied key card into the reader. The light turns green with a soft click. The door swings open silently. The room is dim, heavy curtains blocking most of the afternoon light. I can see them on the bed, Isabel half undressed, Henrik's shirt on the floor. They're so absorbed in their performance that they don't notice me for several seconds. Then Isabel looks up. The sound she makes isn't quite a gasp, isn't quite a scream. It's the sound of someone whose world has just shifted on its axis. Henrik twists around, his face cycling through confusion, recognition, and something approaching panic. I don't speak. There's nothing to say that they don't already know. Instead, I walk to the nightstand and place the envelope there. It's thick manila, labeled simply with both their names. Inside are copies of everything, photographs, transcripts, financial records, and a single sheet of paper with Monday's date and the address of my attorney's office. Isabel sits up, pulling the sheet around herself. Daniel, I can explain. I look at her, really look at her, maybe for the first time in months. The woman who promised to love me, who built a life with me, who threw it all away for the excitement of being wanted by someone she perceived as more valuable. The woman who forgot that quiet strength is still strength. I look at Henrik, still frozen in the same position, his mouth open like he's trying to solve a puzzle. The man who thought he was claiming a prize, who never realized he was just another system to be analyzed and understood. Then I walk out. No shouting, no accusations, no melodrama. Just the soft click of the door closing behind me, leaving them with the envelope and the sudden understanding that they've been seen. Completely, thoroughly, and without mercy. The locksmith finishes his work at 4:30 p.m., just as the shadows begin to lengthen across our front yard. He's a professional, asks no questions, accepts cash, leaves no trace except the new deadbolt that gleams silver against the dark wood of our door. Keys, he asks, holding up two identical copies. I take them both, thank you. The first text arrives at 5:15 p.m. Daniel, we need to talk, please. I delete it without reading it twice. By 6 o'clock, there are 7 messages. I don't read any of them. Instead, I sit at my kitchen table, my table now, and review the documents my attorney prepared last week. Dissolution of marriage, asset division, the prenuptial agreement that Isabel's mother had insisted on and then demanded be modified to remove the infidelity clause, the same clause that now ensures I keep the house, the investments, and most of our shared assets. At 7:22 p.m., I hear her car in the driveway. The engine shuts off, followed by the slam of a door. Footsteps on the walkway, quick and determined, the jingle of keys. Then, silence. I picture her standing there, key in hand, staring at the lock that no longer recognizes her. The moment when she realizes this isn't about anger or hurt feelings. It's about systems, and she's no longer authorized to access this one. The doorbell rings 3 times in quick succession, then pounding. "Daniel!" Her voice is muffled through the door, but I can hear the edge of panic. "Daniel, open the door! We need to talk about this." I don't move from the table. I have a book open, a technical manual about network security, and I continue reading as if her voice is just another sound in the evening air, white noise, background static. The pounding continues for another 5 minutes before stopping. I hear her phone ring, probably calling Henrik, probably panicking about what happens next. Her phone rings again. This time, I recognize the ringtone. It's mine. I let it go to voicemail. The third call comes from an unknown number. I answer. "Daniel, it's Henrik. We need to discuss this like adults." His voice carries that particular confidence of men who are used to getting their way. The assumption that reasonable people can work things out, that everyone wants the same thing. To avoid embarrassment, to keep things quiet, to pretend that consequences don't exist. "No," I say, and hang up. I spend the evening methodically going through the house, removing traces of her presence. Not everything. I'm not erasing our history, just editing it. The photos where she looks genuinely happy stay. The ones where she looks like she's performing get boxed up. Her books go into storage boxes. Her clothes, her jewelry, her carefully curated collection of things that made her feel important. All of it packed away with the same systematic attention I used to document her betrayal. At 10:15 p.m., I send a single text message to her phone. All communication must go through my attorney, R. Johansson. Then I block her number. The house feels different now. Larger. Cleaner. Mine. I make coffee. And sit in the living room, listening to the sounds of a space that finally makes sense. The hum of the refrigerator, the tick of the clock, the absence of tension that had been hanging in the air like smoke. The first indication that word has spread comes on Monday morning. I'm in the elevator at work when 2 colleagues from the legal department get on, their conversation dying abruptly when they see me. They exchange glances, then spend the rest of the ride studying the floor numbers with unusual intensity. By Wednesday, the pattern is established. Conversations pause when I enter rooms. People ask how I'm doing with the kind of careful concern reserved for recent widowers. The administrative assistant, who usually handles our legal correspondence, gives me a sympathetic smile and says, "If you need anything, Daniel, just ask." Magnus calls on Thursday with an update. I didn't request. "Thought you should know," he says. "Your wife's situation is becoming complicated." "How so?" I ask. "Henrik Lofgren's wife filed for divorce yesterday. Seems she received an anonymous package containing some interesting photographs. I don't ask what was in the package. I don't need to know." "There's more," Magnus continues. "Someone at their firm is talking. Not officially, but these things have a way of spreading. Lawyers' offices are worse than high schools for gossip." The following week, I receive a call from someone I don't recognize, a partner at Isabel's firm, his voice carefully neutral. "Mr. Nystrom, I want to assure you that our firm takes professional conduct very seriously. We're handling the situation with appropriate discretion." "I appreciate that," I say, though I'm not sure what situation he's referring to. There are so many now. "I also wanted to ask, and please know this is purely confidential, whether you've had any contact with members of the press." The press. I hadn't considered that angle, but it makes sense. Prominent attorney, high-profile affair, public humiliation, the kind of story that sells papers and generates clicks. "No," I tell him. "I haven't spoken to anyone." "Good, good. We're trying to keep this contained, you understand, for everyone's benefit." I understand perfectly. They're trying to save their reputation, Isabel's career, and Henrik's marriage. The problem is, some systems can't be contained once they start to fail. On Friday, I get a text from an unknown number. I'm staying at the Radisson, room 412. Please, we need to talk. I stare at the message for a long moment, then delete it. But something about the hotel room number sticks with me. Room 412. A different hotel, but the same pattern. The same solution to the same problem. I realize she's not staying there alone. Saturday morning, I'm having coffee when I see a familiar figure across the street. Isabel, standing by her car, just watching the house. She's wearing sunglasses despite the overcast sky, and she looks smaller somehow. Diminished. I don't acknowledge her. I just continue drinking my coffee and reading the newspaper, letting her see exactly how little her presence affects me. She stands there for 20 minutes before driving away. 3 months after the hotel, I'm sitting in a different coffee shop, one I've never been to before. It's smaller than the chain places, with mismatched furniture and jazz playing at just the right volume. The barista knows my order now. Black coffee, no sugar, a quiet corner table where I can watch the street and think. My new apartment is 6 blocks away, a converted loft with exposed brick and windows that face east. I wake up every morning to sunlight instead of silence, to the sound of the city starting its day instead of Isabel's careful morning routine designed to avoid conversation. The divorce was finalized last week. Clean, efficient, exactly as planned. Isabel's attorney tried to negotiate, tried to find leverage, but there was none. The prenup held, the evidence was overwhelming, the math was simple. I'm reading when the door chimes and I look up to see a woman about my age struggling with the door while balancing a laptop bag and coffee. She's got dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, and she's wearing the kind of clothes that prioritize function over fashion. Exactly the opposite of Isabel's carefully curated image. Need help? I ask, standing up. She smiles, and it's the first completely genuine expression I've seen from a woman in months. Thanks. I'm all thumbs today. I hold the door while she maneuvers inside, and she nods her thanks before heading to the counter. I return to my table and my book, but I find myself glancing over at her as she settles into a corner booth with her laptop. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Daniel, I saw the finalization papers. Can we at least talk about closure? I study the message for a moment, then delete it. Closure is something you give yourself, not something you negotiate with the person who broke your trust. The woman with the laptop looks up and catches me watching her. Instead of looking away, she smiles again. Good book? I glance down at the cover. A technical manual about network architecture. Probably not your cup of tea. Try me. I'm a systems analyst. I live for boring technical stuff. I close the book and walk over to her table. Daniel. Anna? She gestures to the empty chair across from her. Please? I sit down and we talk. Not about systems, not about work, but about simple things. Coffee preferences, favorite books, the weather. Conversation that doesn't require strategy or careful word choice, that doesn't feel like a performance or a test. I should let you get back to your work, I say after 20 minutes. I should let you get back to your riveting technical reading, she counters. Actually, I was thinking of getting dinner. There's a place down the street that's supposed to be good. She closes her laptop. I'd like that. As we're leaving, my phone buzzes again. Another text from the unknown number. Henrik and I aren't together anymore. I know you probably don't care, but I wanted you to know. I almost delete it automatically, then stop. For the first time in months, I read one of Isabel's messages all the way through. Then I type a response. I hope you find what you're looking for. I send it and immediately block the number. Everything okay? Anna asks. Just closing an old file, I say. We walk down the street together, and I realize something has shifted, not just in my circumstances, but in the way I see the world. The hypervigilance is gone. The need to analyze every interaction, to look for patterns and threats and hidden meanings. For the first time in years, I'm not trying to debug a relationship. I'm just having dinner with someone who seems to like me for exactly who I am. A quiet software engineer who reads technical manuals in coffee shops and doesn't need to be anything more than that. The system reboot is complete. Time to see what the new version can do. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.